From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. If you want to take a listen to our archives, go to YouTube. You can watch our show live there as well, because we are live on our YouTube stream. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you there. Check them on out. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Here we go again with another one of our awesome monthly features here on the Mighty SOR, The Spiritual You with Geraldine Orozco. Geraldine is the owner of Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California, which specializes in corporate wellness programs for Silicon Valley tech giants, including Google, Facebook, Instagram, Square, Procepts Biorobotics, and more. She facilitates DNA reprogramming sessions and retreats internationally. She is a speaker, radio host, and is currently writing a book, DNA Origins and the Hybridization Program. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we're going to hook up with Drex in Vancouver and get to the SOR Newswire and the thought of the Dave on whether or not I should cut my hair. Oh, yes. The building question. That's what people want to know today. People want to know, am I cutting my hair or am I not? Geraldine Orozco, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my beautiful friend. How are you?
Hello, I'm fantastic, and thank you so much again. I can't believe another month has gone by, and
I know.
Our 4th of July. We're into the 4th of July already, and so thank you to all our listeners, and it's so wonderful to be here. So it's good to see you.
Well, it's always good to have you here as well. And you know, we got to give a shout out because last week we started this really cool thing. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who obviously lives in Michigan, owns a bar in that beautiful state called the Scoreboard Lounge. There's like 120 people tuned in. He's got us all on the big screens. So every time we use the word, now these ones don't count. But every time we use the word plethora, he's got to buy a round for everybody in the bar. And if we use the word woo, then they have to buy drinks off of the bar. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Maybe an expensive night.
It's going to be an expensive night. They're going to have a great night at that bar. Well, shout out to you. Thank you so much for listening. I mean, you guys are amazing. That's so great. So we'll definitely be a part of that fun. And, I mean, gorgeous piece of woo. That's hilarious. We should turn that into T-shirts, Dave.
Absolutely. So absolutely. We'll put your picture on there and we'll call it a gorgeous piece of woo. How about that?
Oh, no, absolutely not. It's just so funny. Oh, my God. All right. Well, there were 2 woos in that sentence, I believe. I'm not sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ring that bell. Anyways, Geraldine, for people who may not have heard of you before or heard your story, you know, this is something that is still a little incredible for a lot of people who hear it for the first time. Back in 2013, 2012, in that area, you started having some major experiences that literally changed your entire direction in life.
That's right. Yeah. And so in 2013, when I had that experience, and, you know, I'm currently writing my book on it. And the more I write about it, the more my memory is jogged. You know, it's like I'm going deeper into the recollection of the events and how they happened. And it's really interesting. I mean, what I remember that is so impactful about those experiences is how vivid to this day that experience was. You know, just a regular Friday night, you know, like any other night, and woken up at 3 a.m, 3:33 exactly, and taken out of my room into craft, where I was taken to the Pleiades. I was shown my hybrid children. I was introduced to them. I was shown languages, alien languages and symbols. And I was spoken to telepathically. I mean, I was seeing these extraterrestrial beings, these interdimensional beings, tall grays and short grays as well. And to someone that had never spoken about aliens or even had an interest in the sci-fi movies or film, and I haven't watched any of those films. It was something that was absolutely out of my range of comprehension, and I was just writing about this, that as I was reviewing how I felt after that experience, one of my questions was, did this really happen to me? And I know that that's a question for a lot of experiencers out there. We experience these incredible things and we don't know how to fit them into our everyday lives. So we question them and we wonder, is it reality or is that something that happened in dream time? And how do you differentiate the difference between those things? Because at the end of the day, I guess all realms of our conscious mind can be valid states, for interpretation. I mean, you can always interpret any of those valid states of consciousness. But what made this real, Dave, is that I had activated psychic abilities that I never had before from one day to the next. And I woke up with the ability to see the multidimensional body, to sense people's energy, and to look at their Akashic records and all the information of their lineage that is encoded within their DNA, their genetic make, their chakra system. All of those multiple layers of the human body became visible to me. And so it was such a powerful shift for me that, I couldn't leave my house for 3 months after that. So for me, that was the most powerful part of that experience, is the fact that even though I questioned what happened, the proof was my new ability, this new gift that I had somehow activated in the body due to this exchange with these interdimensional beings that really caused a tremendous effect in my life.
Do you wish that you didn't have that experience, or are you happy that you did?
No, absolutely not. And the way that I look at things is not so much black and white like that. For me, I've gotten to the point of complete acceptance of all things that are occurring in the life. And because that was just the beginning of my road, Dave. Some of the things that have happened to me over the past couple years after I've gone public about this and whatnot. So, it was just the beginning of, a lot of strangeness, a lot of woo, a lot of crazy things that we can't even, we would think is something that's out of a movie, out of a film, something sci-fi that we can't put into our real lives. So for me, it has been the most life-changing gift. And it's something that came as a result of a deep search for truth. I had an unquenchable thirst for truth. I wanted to know why I was here on this planet, why I experienced the things I did, why do we suffer, why do we have joy, why do we have happiness, why do we have all of these programs that we believe work for us or don't work for us, why are we the way we are as a human race? And that was my question, and that question took me down the path of going into deep meditation, deep self-observation and reconnection with myself to be able to try to find those answers. And I did. And the further down the rabbit hole I went, this is what I found. I was encountered with these kinds of experiences. And I think it's a combination of you're uncovering layers, you're questioning your reality that you live in, and your frequency is also changing as a result of that. So that's another really important point that we want to look at when we talk about meditation. We're not just talking about calming the mind or de-stressing the body. We're talking about a total transformation of frequency, of belief systems, and the expression of who you are as a human, basically, is what's changing when you meditate and when you come into these deeper questions.
Okay, so the fact that you had this experience, how did you go about investigating it? Because there's a lot of people out there, Geraldine, when they have their first experience and it hits them mentally, it hits them physically, much like it did with you. How did you know where to turn in order to find information?
Yeah, and that was actually one of the biggest issues that I had in the beginning, is that I didn't know where to look. for me, my search for truth was my understanding of reality. So I would dive into my emotions and all the programs that made up my belief systems. That's where I started. Okay. So when I went down that rabbit hole to understand why I thought the way I thought, why I feel and have the emotions, reactions, beliefs, and the results of my life that were occurring at the time, which were not happy ones. I had issues with family members and my career, my businesses that I had. I mean, it was a roller coaster for years, emotional roller coaster. And I know a lot of us can relate to that struggle that we all experience in life. And it was just trying to understand why we all go through that. Okay. And it was through there that I started to question our systems. Like, where does our programming of our families come from? Where does that originate? It originates through religion, through culture, through many different things, right? That was my internal work. But what I came to question was really what made up reality, what makes things real. We think that our emotions and the things that are happening in our life are very real to us because we have an emotional response to them. Some of us are even traumatized by that. But does it mean that we have to hold on or store those emotions and that trauma? So the question for me was, what's real? After I had that experience, I was trying to, what I lacked was the lingo, the wording that we use in the field, like hybrid, for example. I didn't know that word until I started to look online and look for it. And even then, it was very difficult to look for that information. I came across Bridget Nielsen's hybrid children community. And because I didn't know whether to use the word abduction or contact, I mean, those words I didn't know. The only thing I looked up was alien children introduction. That's actually what I Googled. And I came across Bridget Nielsen's. And once you begin to read and you become familiar with other people's experiences that they're similar to you, then you kind of get acquainted with the lingo that is used, more commonly used in this field, and it kind of helps you dig deeper. But other than that, for me, it took me a couple years to kind of decide that it was okay to question what had happened to me. And in 2017, I was introduced to Alba Weinman, who does the regression, the hypnotherapy. And,
Right.
I had read that hypnotherapy was a good way to recall lost memories, memory loss. So I was thinking, well, how did I end up with children in 2017? What happened before that? How did that happen? How come I don't remember? Even though at the time that I was being introduced to the children, I started to have flashbacks of holding the child on craft and meeting the children in other events that I had not remembered before then. So recall was slowly coming in, and the question was, I needed more. I needed help to get those memories. So it was through hypnotherapy, Dave, that I was able to really find the answers that I needed. And it was through my personal experience.
How were you able to gain the confidence to get back to what your new normal was? Because for a lot of people in this field, when you have that experience, you don't know who you can share your information with. You don't know who you could talk to. You could try your friends. You get laughed at. Your coworkers laugh at you, think you're just off your rocker. A lot of people go through a lot of different emotions on this, but you have become so strong and such a strong voice in this community regarding those type of experiences that you've taken a leadership role and people look up to you because of that.
Yes, and I'm humbled by that because the journey was not easy, Dave. It's not a journey that it's a cookie cutter thing where you have a service or one designated place where you can find your information or get an understanding of what you're experiencing. And the fact is that I think it's, even though there are so many people that have experienced this, Dave, it's not something that we're covering in our, in media, for example. Like you kind of talked about that at the conference back in the beginning of the year. You were talking about how these topics are not spoken of enough. And that's exactly the problem. I mean, it's such a fringe topic right now that it becomes really difficult to bring it into, your everyday life. And people that have abduction experiences or contact experiences have to experience a sort of disassociation from those experiences. We have to have kind of double personalities at some point, because one part, and I was living that for a couple years before I had my hypnotherapy. It was one little tiny quiet part of me that knew that there was more to this life, and that these abductions are truly happening. It happened to me. I was living proof of that. And then there was the rest of my life, which was normal, right? My career, getting married, having children, all of these ideas and all these things that we want to stick to be quote unquote successful. So, you become to have this split, and you don't know who to work for. For me, it was a very lonely road, and isolating, because I didn't really feel that there was anyone that I could talk to about it necessarily. My partner didn't want to discuss it really, and there's not much that they can give you because it's such a new thing again. So it was a matter of me taking matters into my own hand. And for me, what helped me was my own personal journey to my own self-love and understanding my worth. Because if I knew that what my experiences were real, and I became acquainted with the concept of self-love, which is an acceptance of all that I am, whether it's good, bad, ugly, uncomfortable, new, different, that was my kind of foundation to really push me forward with what had happened to me, instead of being in denial and shy and afraid of what had happened to me. Because what that allowed me to do was to speak on it. And what I found through that was even more love, which means I was connected with the people, places, and things that was a match to that, right? I started to meet hundreds of women that had experienced such a thing from around the world. I started getting tons of emails from them saying, Geraldine, I'm so glad you're talking about this. I thought I was going crazy. I went to my gynecologist. I didn't know what to do. I cried for weeks. I'm confused. I'm scared. So, this is where, you step into the role that's necessary. And really, Dave, this is the role that all experiencers are kind of being invited to come into if they want to take that role, because the more of us that speak about it, the quicker it's going to dissolve that kind of mysticism and that fringe aspect of it, so that we can begin to really get down to the facts of what's actually happening around us, and I think it's really important.
With the plethora of experiences that you have had throughout this, a lot of people will say, Geraldine, how do we know that you just haven't got off your rocker? How do we know that this has actually happened to you? Why should we trust what you're saying? You have battled it all. How have you been able to allow people to understand that what you've experienced is the real deal, and you have no reason to make up stories or to lie about these sort of incidents?
Yeah, for me, I really, again, my personal development is my number one goal in life, and that's what I dedicate myself to. I can't speak on things that I don't live. So if I am not someone that feels completely honest about who I am, what I've experienced in my life, I cannot be out there talking about such a thing, right? I have to be completely congruent on all areas of my life. And that's just a matter of integrity, I think, that I like to keep. So for me, I never came into this thinking about fame or money or connections or anything like that. I mean, for me, took me years to kind of talk about it, And even when I met MUFON, when I came to MUFON with my story, I spoke to our friend Lorian about it for the first time. She's the first person I told outside my family.
I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if it wasn't for her, Dave, I mean, I would have completely kept it quiet. Like I would have never, ever shared any of this, not even my video, because I met her before I published the second regression, which goes deep into the abduction experiences.
And I'm going to take a little bit of bragging there, because shortly after you came out with Lorian, we had you appearing on this show. And you had agreed, and you were very nervous, and we took a good care of you that night.
Absolutely, Dave. And I'm so grateful for the warm welcome of the community and special people like you, Dave, that have made it, that make it possible. You know, it's you guys are like lights in this community that really allow for a safe place for those experiencers to come out and share these very already difficult things to talk about. And my hope is that, you know, we evolve collectively as a community the way that we have come from racism, or we're trying to come through from racism, you know, and any kind of, you know, everything, even from you know, our community of that causes separation on any level. This is the same thing. I mean, whether you're talking about yoga or frozen yogurt or whatever it is that we think is new, that is unknown,
Yes.
right, to our society, we're introducing a new way of thinking and looking at things. And this is an extremely important topic to talk about. So, yeah.
A lot of people will say that's a lot of woo, Geraldine. A lot of woo.
Well, I'm the woo queen. What can you say?
But you know what? You have had ample opportunities to share your story. And as we got about 90 seconds to go here, you know, and maybe that's not enough time, but there's a lot of people out there, Geraldine, who have really clamored on to you and your story, and they feel that connection and that vibe that you're good for them and that you've helped them go along. Is that part of the purpose?
For me, I am here to be of service, and it is, you know, it's definitely to be of service to people that are looking for that next step in any way that I can. What I talk about is about abduction, interdimensional contact, and also, you know, how to manage emotions, how to become the sovereign soul that we are here to do. My job is not to be a guru or a leader of any kind. My job is to give you information and tools that I know work. They've worked for me. They work for thousands of people out there that have transformed their lives completely into individuals that are powerhouses of light that are there to serve others. And so it's kind of like we're lighting the candle and we're spreading it. It goes like wildfire. That people understand what it means to be sovereign, what it means to be a soul that is choosing to embody the human form in order to experience a polarity for a moment. So that is my message. And so anything that I can offer, whether it's information, guidance, or a DNA reprogramming session to help you understand our universe on a deeper level, you know, that's what I'm here to do. I am not here to, you know, cause anyone suffering or pain or having any kind of guru type following of any kind.
I hear you.
It's not what I'm here to do.
Geraldine Orozco, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. The spiritual you with the beautiful, lovely, and talented Geraldine returns right after this on the Mighty SOR. Stay tuned.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month, and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. And a big hello, special hello tonight to everybody tuning in at Scoreboard Lounge in the great state of Michigan. I don't even know what's town your bar is in, Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob. Okay, but he's got like 100 and some people in there, and they're all having a good time. We're on the big screens there. We're going to woo it up for all of you tonight. Geraldine Orozco is our guest, BayAreaMeditation.com, GeraldineOrozco.com, with the spiritual you that happens here at the beginning of nearly every month. Geraldine is based out of San Francisco, California, the lovely Bay Area. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hey. And I just saw someone on the chat asking for the recipe. I will post that. I will post it for you guys. You guys are going to love it, and I want to hear what you guys think about it.
Yeah, we're talking avocado cake.
Avocado chocolate cake. If anyone's heard of it, it's divine. It's amazing.
Next, you're going to tell me you eat breakfast for dinner.
I don't. No, I don't.
Yes, I win one. I win one. Yes, you're like person number 4 who agrees with me. Beautiful. Perfect. All right. Geraldine, I want to go down this path a little bit, okay? Because there is a big push right now in the world of disclosure, and I know you have been following it a little bit with all of your hard work that you have done. And, we see people, whether it's Richard Dolan, Grant Cameron, and the like, really pushing hard towards getting some sort of government confirmation regarding unidentified aerial phenomena. And I want to tie this to the experiencer and what you have gone through, because for the most part, they have done a great job at separating UFOs from ET contact, claiming that it's not really the same. My argument back is, if you've never had an experience, it's never aliens. And once you've had an experience, it's always aliens. A plethora of aliens, shall we say. So for you, as somebody who is a leader in ET contact and counsels people through that and the hybridization program, how do you go about defining what is disclosure to you?
I've never felt that getting government confirmation is something that is necessarily something that we need. And I'll tell you why. I mean, well, some of you that know my work or have heard me lecture know about what I think, our government is not necessarily an organization that is looking to disclose a lot of information, and we don't even need to talk about aliens to talk about that. We're talking about a lot of different things that are not necessarily pro our human well-being per se. A lot of we're talking about a system that is mainly run by money and by corporations that benefit from, politics and the movements that are made underneath them. So I don't even see why we would necessarily expect them to cover this topic unless it serves a purpose. Now, from my perspective as an experiencer, my contact experiences never started with UFOs, for example, right? So I didn't even start that way. For me, it started directly being basically brought on craft and introduced to hybrid children, which is a genetic product of my genetic material with extraterrestrial material. And to me, having experienced a lifelong time of contact and miscarriages and medical things that were as a result of my supposed contact, I feel like that is a topic in itself that's really very serious and it should be talked about. And, to find out that I'm not the only one that had experienced such a thing, that it's a lot of women and men experience having to end up at the hospital due to contact sometimes. And it can go either way. They can be really positive healing experiences as a result of contact, like Preston Dennett, for example. He talks about that. People that heal after having UFO contact. And it can be the other side of that, where people experience traumatizing experiences or miscarriages, for example. Not to say that that is something necessarily harmful or categorize it as that. But I think that the experiencer is the voice that we should be paying attention to. And whether you're looking at that as a confirmation of extraterrestrial existence or an incredibly elaborate world global psychological phenomena, I think it deserves attention, because this psychological phenomena has now turned into something that is affecting people's lives on more than one level. It's affecting physically, it affects their family life. Women that have gone through miscarriages or end up with endometriosis or many other physical effects as a result of hybridization program. And also men. Let's talk about PTSD. Okay, we have the majority of contactees end up with PTSD because, there's so much disassociation and other factors that really affect their life. So this really becomes something that is much more than just the illusion or a fantasy of seeing extraterrestrials, right? And the range and depth of those experiences with races, with the technology that's being seen, and now we link that. That's where I would insert the government aspect. Okay, when we talk about technology, for me, that's where we would bridge them, because what we're looking at is that a lot of the things that experiencers are seeing on board craft, the technology that they're being introduced to, sometimes they're being trained in technology. We now can look to the military and look at how a lot of those things have been reverse engineered in our modern day technology. Okay, so then the question is, where did that come from? And so where did it's like the chicken and the egg. What came first, right? Is it our government technology that came first? Or is it some advanced technology from the future that we're just now implementing into our, reality? So for me, the experiencer, I would say, has a huge weight on disclosure. And there should be more attention put on research, clinical research, and psychological research, and research on the phenomena itself and how it affects the people on a physical level is really important.
Okay, so the fact that the experiencer and the whole disclosure movement publicly these days has been basically forgotten, shoved to the side, back in the corner, wearing a dunce cap, pretty much. How do we bring that out, basically saying to people, whether it's the Dolans or the Grant Camerons or the Stephen Bassetts or whomever, how do we get them to realize that the experiencer has to be a part of this equation as well? It has nothing to do with just the technology. It's a much bigger focus than that.
Mm-hmm, correct. But to say that we have to put so much weight on this small group of investigators that do this work, which, they do a wonderful job with what they do. But to say that we have to put the responsibility and weight on them, it's a lot, because it is a topic. However, I often tend to feel that sometimes they refocus on the UFOs, and I believe that in a way can be a distraction from what's important. The experiencer is basically the inside view at a lot of this technology, a lot of this information, and the government knows that. I mean, they've used experiencers in the past. I mean, there's multiple programs. We have, MK Ultra. We have military abductions as well that are carrying out similar experiments as are being done supposedly on craft. Whether the two are separate or not, that's another discussion. But there seem to be some similarities in agendas or interest with the government and this interdimensional beings, with our human race. So the question is, what is it that they know that we don't know? What value does the human hold that is being utilized in these kinds of programs? And I think that it's up to us, the experiencer, because it's thousands of us. It's not just a small group of us. I mean, in the bigger picture, we believe it's a smaller group, but the problem is we're not talking about it. The more we talk about it in groups, the more we realize that, this person has this experience, this other person has this experience. And just like myself, when I first came into the field, I didn't know the lingo or how to even explain what was happening to me. And until you learn, the vocabulary and how to explain yourself, what's happening, sometimes all those experiences can become lost or dismissed completely. So I think it's valuable to spend time. How do you ask them? I mean, I don't know if we should ask them. Maybe they're not the ones that we need to ask. Maybe we need to kind of take it into our own hands and have a place, a platform in which we can start to collect data and information. Why it hasn't been done is a big question to me, Dave. I mean, this is something that we're dealing with since the 50s. I mean, the earliest account of an extraterrestrial abduction is all the way back in the 20s. And if we even go further in history, I mean, we're going back to antiquity and, go back to Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt. We have traces and documentation, of extraterrestrials and UFOs and hybridization and genetic modification. So it's not something that's new. It's just who is brave enough to shed light and focus and not lose track of what we're researching and the information that we're putting out there, because it can be overwhelming.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio with the Spiritual You. And Geraldine, let us also think of the fact that with people who don't know where to turn, okay, when they have these experiences, wow, thank you, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Sorry, that kind of caught me off guard. Would you have people who have these experiences who are unable to have that voice for themselves? How do you recommend, with everything that's going on in the UFO world, how do you recommend them to bring it out? To let them know that it is okay to talk about this?
So I think, first of all, they need to be okay with it. So that's the first step. Before you start coming out public with your information. Why? Because it's a very vulnerable place to be in. And unless you are, slowly working on becoming okay, and it takes time, it's going to be a very bumpy ride for you. Somebody denies what you're going through, you can feel that, your information is not worthy or whatever it is, and you might go right back into the shadows again. And so the thing is to set ourselves up for success in terms of what we are looking to achieve. For me, what helped me in the beginning was, of course, finding the MUFON group, which helped me connect with people that were familiar with the topic, and so that I could feel safe enough to share my experience with them. And for me, accepting what had happened to me had to happen first, right? I had to kind of accept what happened. My psychic abilities it's undeniable that happened. I mean, even within my family, we know that, I didn't have those abilities 1 week, the week before, and then the next day it's like you have these abilities, and it's mind blowing. So I know there's a lot of people out there that have had those kinds of experiences. So we got to accept it. Secondly, find groups in which you can share this information in a safe place. Become comfortable with sharing and hearing, if not sharing, at least hearing other people talk about it. And there are support groups. There are some great support groups. There is Misha Johnston, which holds her group out of Las Vegas. It's a virtual group, open internationally. You guys can join that group. There's the Zero group. I mean, there's many different groups that you can be a part of to share and listen to other people's experiences. And what that'll do, it'll help you confirm and feel that you're not isolated in your experience. Secondly, I do suggest that once you're ready to accept what's happened, get hypnotherapy if you're willing to go back to that moment. If you feel strong enough to relive what happened, how that helps you is kind of have confirmation. And there are a lot of therapists that are I suggest that you get a therapist that's comfortable with the topic, that will help you integrate, process, and heal from any trauma that has resulted from extraterrestrial contact or interdimensional contact. Okay, so and then that's important for any kind of experience that causes trauma, right? Thirdly, once you have those and you learned about your experiences, then you can begin to kind of do your own research. You're going to have answered some questions. Take your research, start looking. I always invite experiencers to go down the rabbit hole and look at how far back records of interdimensional contact and UFOs have been in our historical timeline. Unless you go down that rabbit hole, you don't know how much information is out there. It's unbelievable. When I took that journey through regression, I was introduced to all this information, and then I went back home and started to research everything. I mean, the amount of information that's out there is so open. We have ancient aliens for that. It's all there, visible. It's just a matter of us taking the time, not being lazy, and looking at what's there already. So educate yourself. Take a look at that. Look at the ancient paintings that were done, to say something so simple. Look at the literature, the scrolls, the petroglyphs. It's mind-blowing. And that's going to help you understand that you're not just isolated. This is not something that's complete woo. This is something that we are all experiencing on some level or another. We encounter interdimensional contact sooner or later in our life at some point. Yeah.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Geraldine, with the experiencer and the whole disclosure movement, there is, like I said earlier, a big effort by many people out there and researchers to say, look, we don't know what these UAPs are. They could be of human descent. All right. We can't connect them to aliens. Mm-hmm. Yet here we are talking about aliens. How do you, if you were leading the charge to try and get the experiencer on that disclosure table, on that big chatting table in front of the media, and Geraldine's been invited to speak there, how much of an importance is the experiencer movement towards any sort of disclosure?
I think it's absolutely imperative. I mean, how can you deny the experience of thousands of people around the world that are directly connected to to the ufology field, right? To seeing UFOs, UAPs, these craft that it's not just the craft. That's the thing. The link between craft sightings and then experiences after those, before or in between those, is what links the phenomena. And that's the thing that we should focus on, okay? Because a lot of people that have experiences now see craft or have seen craft since they were children. And then they end up having these kinds of dreams or the trauma or the hybridization, whatever it is that they have. So they are linked. There is some link there that we need to understand. We need to investigate. We want to know why that's happening, first of all. And it's not something that should be dismissed so lightly. Because for someone, for example, that has never been interested in the UFO field at all, okay, I was an event planner, I worked in telecom, I was a flight attendant, I was an interior designer, I had a very spiritual upbringing, but none of that touched UFOs at any point in my life. And then to be introduced to this with an experience like that was mind-shattering. I mean, it shattered my entire understanding of the world around me. So those are the kinds of experiences that a lot of people do have. So how do you link those? How do you explain that a person comes into this phenomena in such an organic manner? And then the other side of it is women and men that have the physical side effects that are demonstrating technology that is far more advanced than human advanced. So, for example, the scarring that shows up overnight, all of these kinds of advanced technology. We look at Linda Moulton Howe's research on the cow mutilations, for example. These things that are, you can't explain them. And it's technology that far surpasses what we have, even our we don't know what our military has yet, but it surpasses what's known, okay, in the mainstream, in the common knowledge. So UFOs, okay, we have Earth UFOs. The military has UFOs, but then there's also aerial technology that is not human. And if it is human, why hasn't it been disclosed, that level of technology? Our physics on our Earth function in a certain way. We have an entire planet that believes that physics functions in a certain way. Aircraft only moves in certain directions based on the physics that we know, right? So then we find these aircrafts that are moving in different directions, different abilities that are just incredible. Why has the government or the entire world not disclosed that level of understanding on physics and science level? Would that mean that it's a threat to understand that physics, because it would then question our reality on many other levels, right? This is the thing. And so why hasn't it been made? Why is there such a deep separation? I feel that it's a distraction to not focus on the questions that are important. Whether they're terrestrial or non-terrestrial, the question is, what are they? How are they functioning? And what do we need to know about them? What do we need to know about them?
Geraldine Orozco is here for the Spiritual You. Tonight we've got about just over 90 seconds left before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Geraldine, do you see a time in the near future when experiencers and disclosure activists can actually come together? And if so, is it sooner or later?
What do I think about that? I think that they should try to come together sooner than later. I mean, I think it's pretty ridiculous to try to separate them. And my question would be why? Why are they doing that? Why are they separating that? Again, I feel it's a distraction, and it's an interference in understanding the truth of things. And it's a matter of perception, really, because things can be interpreted in many different ways. I hope that we come together, and as experiencers, I think what needs to be united are the experiencers. That we need to organize ourselves and begin to ask the questions, maybe spend some time, invest some money in creating research that will help us understand better this phenomena, so that we can have a strong voice in the community, if not the UFO community, then on our own community at that point. But it has to be something that's invested in and that's really taken serious, because it does affect thousands of people around the world.
It does. It does. And I hope it does get a little bit more, introduction, because I think it's right now it could be what we call a lost cause. Could be a lost cause on what we're going through. Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are about to go to break here at the top of the hour. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You happens once a month here on the Mighty SOR, where we bring her in, we find our Zen and our Chi and maybe a little aliens dashed on the side. Hey, why not? That's what we love to do around here. We love the woo. We love the plethora. And we love you guys listening on in. I hope everybody in Michigan at the Scoreboard Lounge is having a good time tonight, because we're about to woo it up with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio coming up next.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best-rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Hi, This is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We welcome back everyone listening in on our affiliates terrestrially, on radio, across North America. You know who you are. We love you. And on the digital side, we are on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Zeitgeber. Zeitgeber is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on our Twitter handle at Spaced Out Radio. Tonight we are talking with Geraldine Orozco, BayAreaMeditation.com and GeraldineOrozco.com. Those are her websites as we continue on with the Spiritual You, which happens near the beginning of each month here on the Mighty SOR. We appreciate you coming on in, Geraldine. You know how much we love this segment with you.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here again.
All right. Kind of changing topics a little bit here. And we're going to go into, all the big holidays through the summer are pretty much done now. We got the 4th of July out of the way in the United States. We got Canada Day up here in Canada, July 1st out of the way. And now we're just kind of kicking back, relaxing, trying to figure out, is this COVID thing going to continue? How much longer? This is getting a little aggravating at this point. Nerves are getting all rustled up. It's not a very happy and pleasant time out there right now. And really, I think we just need a one big sociable, like they're having at the Scoreboard Lounge watching us right now. And, just to chill out, relax, and start treating each other humanely again, because we're not doing a good job of that right now. For people who are getting depressed, getting down, the anxiety and depression is at an all-time high right now in North America and around the world. How do we combat those feelings to try and just relax and find what's good again?
So here's what's happening, Dave. On an energetic level, we're going to talk about energy now, okay? We're dealing right now with extreme expressions of polarity, okay? 1 minute some of us are feeling joyful and love and happiness, and then the next minute we're down, we're fearful, we're depressed. And basically, what we're going through right now as a collective, Dave, is we are readjusting on such a profound level, physical and non-physical, that we are going to have to become very familiar with the two polarities that we're experiencing. So that means that we're going to have to be okay with back and forth, coming back and forth from that feeling that darkness and also feeling that light, that happiness, that joy, and that the feelings of fear that we feel. So what do you have to do is the question in order for you to be okay with both of those polarities. And, this is the thing that I keep hearing from my clients every single day over the past 3 weeks. up and downs. It's like 1 minute I'm happy, next minute I'm depressed. 1 minute I'm motivated, next minute I don't want to move, So how do we do that when we have such busy lives? And right now we are stuck at home. Some of us are still in quarantine with our families. We're still limited with the things and activities that we can do. And it makes it harder because we're in small quarters and we are kind of enclosed with the feelings and emotions of our family and also our internal emotions. And it can be extremely challenging and difficult for us to be navigating that, throughout the day. It becomes exhausting. So now more than ever, being able to be okay with not being okay is the number one priority for all of us. We have to pull away from the illusion or the idea that everything has to be happy and sunshines all the time. Our understanding of joy, our understanding of happiness will be redefined over the next couple years, really is what's happening. And the call is to go into a deep, profound understanding of what it means to be in a state of peace and joy. And for me, what I teach and what I love to share with everyone is the power of coming into a state of neutral observation. And it's one of the things that has really helped me in my journey tremendously to let go of past experiences and also fear of future things that can happen in my life. Most of us are spending our thoughts about what's happened in the past, what we've lost. Maybe a lot of us are experiencing cutbacks in money. Okay, our budget, our money, our financial situation is getting kind of hard right now. Some of us have lost our jobs. We feel demotivated. We feel depressed. We have relationships that may be falling apart. Some of us haven't been able to see family. And some of us have lost loved ones. Okay, so all of these things that are occurring in the past have taken a toll. If we continue to stay dwelling on the emotions from those experiences, it will be very hard for you to move forward and to see what's happening and what's good in the now. And if you're on the other spectrum, you're fearful of the future, like you're okay right now, but you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, I'm going to get sick, something's going to happen to my family, I'm going to lose my job. We're also not taking what's now, what's here in the moment. So for that, I have some tools. Grounding, protection. I have an acronym. Some of you know this, that I talk a lot about GPAC. I made an acronym called GPAC. It's called grounding, protection, aligning, and co-creating. What does that mean? Grounding means that you're in your body. You're fully present. You're not in the past and you're not in the future. Your thoughts and your body is aware of your body now. So how do you do that on easy terms? It's really simple. You just become aware of their senses, your 5 senses. Okay, so what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you tasting in your mouth? And what are you feeling in your hands? And then, also what are you sensing for you empaths? What are you feeling around you? So very simple, check into that and it'll bring you right back into your body and allows you to come out of flight or flight mode. So if you're coming into depression or anxiety, it brings you right back into the now in which you're safe, because you're safe in this moment. You're good. You're just here. You're listening to this show and you're healthy. Okay. So grounding and protection. Protection means that you are taking ownership of what you're experiencing right now. So that means you're not expecting from anyone outside of you to provide you with the following things: love, protection, safety, acknowledgement, and validation. Okay? You're not expecting anyone to provide you those things. Instead, you are looking at yourself and you're providing yourself all those things. Okay, so everything that's within, you're going to imagine that you are enclosed inside of a bubble, and your bubble can be made out of anything. It can be made out of metal or cement, and this is just using our imagination. You can make it fun if you want to, in order to become aware of what belongs to you. That's all that this visualization is for. Everything that's inside that bubble, which is your entire body, belongs to you. That's what you control. Okay? You can't control anything that's happening outside of you. So what that helps you do is, if you're aware that everything in that bubble is what you can control, you now let go of the expectations, and it really reduces a tremendous amount of anxiety and fear. Because what happens is, a lot of us, we think that the outside, that we're going to find love outside, acceptance, safety, protection. We always look outside, and that's a problem in our society. And we're deeply, deeply programmed through social media, through entertainment, through music, through our society even, to think that what we need is outside, and it's not. What we need to help us is internal. It's not external. So how do we rebuild that? Those are just things that you bring into the moment, and they're not something that you need to detach from your everyday activities to do. It's something that you integrate into your everyday activities. And that's the whole point of the spiritual you. You acknowledge that you're more than just the physical, okay? You acknowledge you're more than just the experiences that are happening around you, your body, mind, and soul.
With the plethora of experiences that people are having right now in regards to trying to live a normal life as in this new world of normal, I mean, when you make a major life shift like that, and you're forced into it, like we all have been here in North America, that can really disrupt everything within you. I mean, you can't just sit there and say, woo, this is brand new to me. I like this, because let's face it, it sucks what we're going through. And, there's a lot of people, like you said, who've lost their jobs. There's a lot of people who are still waiting to go back to work. There's a lot of people who don't know, have never been to the food bank before, and now they're having to go there in order to feed their families. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on people right now, and they are looking for anything, whether it's their church, whether it's their own spirituality, whether it's prayer, meditation. They are looking for anything to give them some sort of solace right now. Is that even possible?
Yeah, and that's exactly, and you're absolutely right, and I'm glad that you brought that up, but that's exactly what I was talking about, is, what we're dealing right now is we're being obviously brought through the ringer right now on every level, spiritual, emotional, on every level. All our reality is being put into a place where we are deeply experiencing uncertainty on the highest level. We don't know where we're standing right now. We don't know what's next. And so for that, we have to train ourselves to become comfortable with the unknown. And that's what fear is. Fear is we become fearful because we don't know what's happening. And so when that happens, it really causes this disassociation where, our body is telling us that we should be experiencing something. We should be, looking for the normal, the things that we're familiar with. But when we're not finding them, then there's a disconnect between what your body wants to do and what your mind is telling you to do. The emotions are going in another direction. So, that's why this kind of reconnection with yourself and your body and becoming okay with not being okay is the first step. Okay, so, and the problem is that it's really important because there's not always going to be those outreach programs. We already are realizing that there aren't, those programs now. Some of us are not able to go to our church or to our groups that we're used to, where we find connection and solace. So we gotta look within, and it's a really it's so important that this is just the beginning, my loves, all of you, like what we're going through right now. We're just at the beginning of a huge transformation. Right now, we're just feeling what's going to happen, but now we're going to start feeling the hits of the economy. A lot of things are really going to be changing. So, one of the things that really helps me is to understand that we are not this body. Okay. So what you're experiencing here is becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable, with the unknown and the uncomfortable. And what can help us detach from this constant fear that we have of loss or losing things is to understand that this physical body is a temporary experience. Okay, we are here incarnated in this body in order to experience polarity, right? And so polarity means that we have to experience good times, bad times, but it's what we get from those experiences, and what we need to get is an understanding of how to navigate those experiences. So that understanding is where the gold is. If you understand yourself in those experiences, how you react to those things, you will be far better prepared than the person that hasn't taken a moment to step back into that. We cannot keep expecting normal to come back, because I don't think normal will come back. This is a shift for the world economy and the world as we know it into some new systems and organizations of our collective. And so we have to be prepared. What we need to be doing, Dave, is to become as educated as possible in our needs as a human race collective in order for us to make the right choices of what we're building and co-creating together as a whole for what's our next step going to be. Because if we're constantly focused on fear and survival, we're just going to create more survival experiences for us in the future. And we're going to be choosing things, voting for people, investing in organizations that are not having our best interest in mind. And so that's what we need to avoid. So our inner voice, our connection, our inner guidance, we need to listen to that right now. And we know deep inside us what's good for us, what's not. Whether it's new bills that are being passed, whether it has to do with any of these topics of our health care and who's in control of our health care, we have to be very aware of, how we're making those choices and from what place we're making those choices. So that interconnection is imperative. And that's, helping us build a new way of living that is probably not going to be our normal. It's going to be different, new, and that's a good thing.
Is it a good thing, though? Because I look at things, and whether it's wearing masks and the debate between that, whether it's I find myself, everything I touch now, I try and cover my hands. I'm not somebody who wants to wear rubber gloves the rest of my life. Whether you're going to an ATM or you're putting gas in your car. I mean, this is where it gets a little bit dangerous, because it's everyday things that people are worrying about. It's things that I worry about. If somebody coughs in front of me, was it allergies? Was it because they have an itch in their throat? What if they sneeze? Was it because they looked at the sun or bright lights? Maybe something tickled their nostril, or are they actually sick? I hate living with that paranoia, and everybody has come down with that. And that's terrible. That's not a good way to live on this planet at all. It's not a good life.
It's not a good life. But you know what, Dave? The funny thing is, and this is a big topic, because we're talking about why we incarnated on this planet. And the reason why I want to take it there is because this situation that we're experiencing as a collective is a result of something way bigger than our daily human experiences, okay? We are sharing this experience as a collective, as one whole human organism, as individual souls that are fractals of infinite consciousness that are embodied in these physical bodies, our vessels, right? And so we've chosen, in a sense, to share this experience. And the question is, why? Why are we experiencing? What are we learning from this experience? What we're learning is that maybe our focus has to be pulled away from the minutia of being a human and all of these little things that we experience on a daily life into something bigger. The vision has to change. The focus has to change. We are thinking too compartmentalized. We are thinking too separate. We are thinking too divided. What's happening right now in all areas, spiritual, in politics, in even in the science community, I mean, on every level, we are seeing division on such a deep level. And so, why is this happening in the world around us? We really have to think about that, and we really have to question whether we want to go in that direction. Is division and separation and compartmentalization of all things a good idea for us in order to come out better on the other side of this transition point? And so if we look at maybe understanding that we are one organism that's experiencing this, maybe our perspective would change and the focus would change into the well-being of all of us. There's a lot of manipulation going on. There's a lot of disinformation going on. We don't know where to turn to. Never in the history have we experienced such a tremendous level of confusion and disconnect from what we know is right and true. And so that tells me that as a race, we are being trained in a sense and taken through the experience of learning how to discern what's true and what's not true in a world full of deception and confusion. And so my invitation is, let's focus on that. Let's learn how to come together as a collective and decide together what our new world is going to look like. We're never going to have this opportunity again. Never are we going to experience the falling of all things around us so that we can rebuild. And I think that that's a productive way. All organisms, all groups of animals, living beings, and humans, we all have these survival instincts. And so what's best for the human race is to be thinking about how to heal from this, how to come back on top. We're being proposed a lot of things that are maybe anti-natural, maybe the suppression of our rights, of our human rights. Do we want that? And what does the other side look like? Do we know what that looks like? The thing is that we're being distracted from the priority. The priority is not to decide whether what we're being proposed is a good idea. The priority is to start defining what the new life is going to look like and what we need to create that. And that's where our energy should go to right now. Instead of being caught up in small, these places in fear, that's basically what they want us to be right now. They want us to be deeply separated, quiet, silent, scared, feared, isolated, and lost. And so we have to, as a collective, get to the opposite of that. We have to find ourselves, we have to collect, we have to regroup, and we have to plan, we have to prepare, and we have to voice, what's the next step. So
that's the hard part. That's the hard part. We got about 1 minute to go here before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You continues on here on Spaced Out Radio. And I know we got a plethora of listeners out at Scoreboard Lounge hanging out right now, enjoying the woo. We thank you. Geraldine, when we come back from the break, we are going to turn it up a little bit because we got to woo things up a little bit. And I know Kevin has been waiting a while to get his question about astral travel in here as well, so we are going to get to that. But, to kind of sum things up here in about 30 seconds or less, we can make this time better if we just focus on ourselves and what's good for us, right?
That's right. That's right. It starts with us. We talked about that last time. I mean, change is internal before it's external. Everything is inside, and we're co-creating together. So the mind has to be healthy first. The body has to be healthy. If you have that, you have everything.
All right. Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we have a lot more coming up here on Spaced Out Radio. We got Geraldine for another hour here. Then we're going to head to Vancouver and hook up with Drex for our weekly meeting about the strange, the weird, and the woo. And then we will get to the thought of the day. Should I cut my hair? Should I not? It's halfway down my back. Is it time? Or do I let it grow? Because if I cut it, I lose my Samson-like powers. On Spaced Out Radio next.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there. You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really enjoying my paper straw tonight. Oh, and if you could hear me grinding my teeth with these damn things, oh, I love them. Anyways, I want to remind all of you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and, of course, on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we are taking in the Spiritual You, which happens once a month with this lovely and talented lady from San Francisco, California. She is the owner of Bay Area Meditation. Her websites, bayareameditation.com and GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, I figured out why I hate these straws.
Why?
In that quick few seconds, as my Slurpee is dripping all over my keyboard right now. Oh.
God.
Anyhow, you know when you have a Slurpee, and I know you know when you order your quinoa Slurpee, because you're one of them health people. Okay, you get your quinoa Slurpee, and you know how the Slurpee straws, they have the spoon on the end.
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. Well, when you have these paper straws, that spoon doesn't hold squat. It gets flimsy, floppy. Okay.
I'm gonna send you bamboo.
It needs like straw Viagra or something in order to stay up.
Oh no.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna ship you some bamboo straws, and you're gonna be fine. I promise.
All right.
Right, everyone.
Let me just shake the water off of my keyboard here now. Oh yeah. Okay. Astral travel. Kevin wants to know about astral travel, okay? Because he likes to astral travel. You like to astral travel. Everybody likes a good astral travel every now and again. Okay, but should it be done out of fun and entertainment, or should it be done for some sort of work-type purpose?
Well, here's the thing with the astral realm. We have different layers of our reality. And one of those layers, of course, is the physical body. We have 7 layers, which is connected to all the chakra systems. And each one of those are connected to different etheric realms or non-physical aspects of ourselves. Those are also interconnected to the whole, right? So everything that is around us. Now, when we enter the physical plane, the human body, the soul connects and attaches to the physical body. And when that happens, the layers that are coming down of that consciousness, that light, we experience those different layers. The different dimensions are basically vibrational frequencies. The vibrational frequency will dictate the kind of information or how things will manifest on that dimension. So the astral plane is in between, okay, the physical and the non-physical on the highest level. Okay, so the higher levels of consciousness are, for example, your soul level, your etheric level. Then we have the Akashic records, are higher levels. Okay, so it's the astral plane, Akashic levels. Then you have your soul, the spirit, and the soul. Okay, so these different levels will dictate the kind of experiences that you have. The the astral plane is still very much connected to the physical plane, which means that the experiences that you have are going to be within the design, the architecture of this reality that we live in. So let's call it this matrix that we live in, okay? So what happens with that is that when we're out of our body, if we are not used to working with ourselves on other non-physical dimensions, you can be very easily manipulated and very easily hijacked or taken or whatever it is. So it's very important that when you are doing astral work, you are, really very, you're reading about protection, you're aware of, and you're training your subconscious mind in the waking moment as well as in astral time. Okay, so your awareness is imperative, because otherwise in the astral plane you can be very easily manipulated, taken to different places, and I believe that a lot of abduction experiences and interdimensional contact is often done in these kinds of levels, these dimensions of astral body and between the physical. Okay. So that's something really important to note, that when you are doing that astral work, that you're very keen to become informed on how to protect yourself, how to become conscious and aware. And it can be done through just normal grounding and protection practices throughout your daily time. Whatever you do in waking time, you're also doing in your dream and astral plane.
So is it something that you should do alone? Or is this something that you should have some sort of protection and guidance or somebody to help guide you with?
I definitely think that you should do it alone to begin with, but you have to understand what you're doing. Like, I wouldn't suggest just going into the astral plane without really understanding what you're doing or where you're going. And of course, it takes practice, to astral travel. You have to go through, there's a lot of techniques. You guys can look them up online to help you go into the astral plane. Meditation is really good for that, because you're you're working on the elasticity of your brain, so that when you're coming into these different altered states, these subconscious states, it's easier for you to become comfortable in those planes. Okay, so the mind goes into this alpha state quicker, and you're able to navigate these levels of unconsciousness. The key is to become aware in those dimensions of the unconscious mind, and we train that by becoming aware in your waking time. So are you aware right now of where you are, what you're doing, what your body's feeling right now? Are you aware what your leg is doing? Are you aware what your arm is doing right now? Or are you just, like a zombie, you're in a trance, just listening to the radio show, not aware of your surroundings or what you're feeling right now. That has to change. That's how we can train ourselves. So that's the first step. Now, the second step, if you are getting guidance, make sure that you trust this person and you're aware of their intention in working with you. Okay, so once you're out there, because it's very much like hypnosis. Like, you enter a certain mind and you can be easily suggested or controlled mentally because your subconscious mind is quite open. It's quite vulnerable at that point.
Mr. Man Mister in our chat room is asking, how does alcohol lower vibration?
So what happens when we drink alcohol is that we are disconnecting from our awareness, from our ability to connect with the body. And so what happens when we are on the energetic level, you're basically disconnecting from the physical. So literally, you're going to be floating above your body, okay? You're also creating holes in the auric field because of the lack of awareness. We have holes in our auric field because we're not aware of our physical body. So when you start to drink, what happens is that you become disconnected, and the brain starts to numb certain parts of the brain that affect your movement and your ability to become conscious of how you're moving and what you're in control of. So on a spiritual level, you basically become a host, an open little shell, a host that can take in any number of spirits or vibrational frequency that is a match to your emotional state, conscious or unconscious, at the time of you becoming inebriated. And that's a problem, because if you're drinking out of desperation or fear or depression or anger, whatever emotion you're feeling, it's going to be magnified. It's going to come up. It's going to surface, which will dictate your vibrational frequency, which will make you a match to other entities and organisms that are a vibrational match to what you're feeling. So what's happening is all kinds of things. You can take on this being. And so what happens is, some of you, when you get drunk, you either become really happy and you start laughing. Some of you can start getting really angry, for example. Some of you can completely forget what's happening to you, and you can end up in some random place because you're not aware of what's happening. And so all of these things are demonstrations of entities that have taken over that vessel. I'll tell you a really quick story with one of my clients that got drunk one night and ended up, going home, and ended up at some other house. And, he went to put his key into the door, and the door wouldn't open. And so they were like questioning, the guys came out from the house and they said, "What are you doing here? This is my house. Why are you trying to come in?" They're like, "No, it's not. This is my house." And the man was so drunk that he basically was lost. They called the cops, and the cops obviously arrested him, and he sobered up in the prison. And the next day, he didn't remember anything that happened to him, except that he somehow remembered a name that kept coming up to him, all night long, a certain name of someone. Turns out that that person was a deceased person that lived at the house that he had been picked up from. And basically what happened is that he took that entity on, and the entity was floating around the bar that he was at. So it came into his body, took over his body, and made him react in that way. And there's a lot of stories about this. I mean, there's a lot of people that experience certain things. So it's really important that when you're drinking, if you are going to drink, that you are aware of why you're drinking, number one. Number two, you're trying to practice, again, GPAC, grounding, protecting, aligning, creating. And what's going to happen when you do GPAC, you're not going to get as drunk. And in the early days, when I used to drink a glass of wine, I actually experienced that when I grounded myself, I couldn't get drunk. I couldn't drink or get buzzed of any kind. So that's something that you can practice to help yourself come more into your body. And it's definitely recommended when you're drinking.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go over to Joe's question here, because I had to get him to repost it. And he is asking, when we die, what happens to the people that didn't learn anything while they were here?
That's a great question. And really, the thing is this, it didn't learn anything from which perspective, right? You have a certain perspective of what it means to learn something. But what I've realized and what I've experienced through my experiences is that just like what we see in nature, right? Everything in nature has a certain purpose. It has such an incredible, exact design to everything that happens in nature. Plants grow in a certain way. The sun will affect plants in a certain way. Us humans, when we eat certain things, our body reacts in certain ways. Everything in our biology and chemistry and the design and architecture of the reality that we live in is designed almost exact to work in a certain way, okay? And there's always a reason for the process of things. In that same way, our souls that are incarnating and attaching to these physical bodies to experience a human life also have a certain specific purpose. And the purpose, you can say, is defined by its vibrational frequency. which is in layman terms, it's information. The information that you're made up of is unique to you based on all your past experiences as this expression of infinite consciousness. So when you come into the physical body, we experience everything that we know is as a result of the ancestral lineage that we're attaching to, okay? And that goes down your genetics, right? So everything that your mother has experienced, your father has experienced, you are a product of that directly. And it will design how you perceive the world and the life that you're going to experience. Karmically, quote unquote, karmically, I don't like using that word too much, but you guys will know it as a term that talks about cause and effect, right? All of the things that have happened down our ancestral lineage, cause and effect, we are a product of that. And that's encoded in your DNA, in your blueprint. So as a human, everything that you're experiencing in your life in that sense is exactly what you need in alignment to reach basically your understanding of the human experience. All the traumas that you have, the belief systems are a product of your parents' traumas and their experiences, their pain, their suffering, and their happiness. You are a product of that. So all of that you are is you are projecting, you are living out the result of those belief systems, unless you choose to change them. Okay, so epigenetics, right? We change our DNA by our environment, the foods we eat, and the beliefs that we have, the thoughts and the emotions that we apply to our lives. So if we begin to change those things, our DNA will also change, right? We will slowly changing, healing the body, whatever it is. On an emotional level and contractual agreement level of lessons that we're here to learn, we're also doing that same thing. As a matter of fact, most of us have made a contractual agreement to experience this quote-unquote matrix, the physical plane, in order to heal this polarity that we've come to experience as an expression. Okay, so we're here to heal, to rebalance, to experience it. And so what you'll notice is that a lot of the trauma that your family has gone to, you're reliving somehow. There is a mirror inversion effect that you're living out. So if your father was an alcoholic and he was abusive, you're a product of that. So your belief systems are around the trauma of alcoholism and drinking. And it might result in you wanting to drink in your life for reasons that are connected to that trauma that your father had. So if you change that belief system, you're not just healing yourself and transforming your belief systems, but you're literally affecting the entire lineage going down your father's line. Why? Because the belief systems that created that trauma to begin with are basically making up your vibrational frequency. They make up who you are. So to cut this explanation short, basically, what you're learning through all your experiences is for a reason. When you die, what matters is the vibrational frequency that makes up what you are in that moment when you leave. So if you are a jumble of guilt, regret, shame, anger, all of these things, if that's what you feel like at the moment that you die, that is your vibrational frequency, okay? And that will define your journey. You can either, if you're unconscious and if you haven't been working on your awareness, you can be brought right back into the reincarnation cycle to experience once again the Earth's experience. If you have worked and transmuted your vibrational frequency, and let's say that you've become aware and you're no longer holding on to resentment, pain, suffering, and you're now passing on, you're dying, your vibrational frequency is different. So it's going to open up the next step for you, okay? You're going to be in alignment with different possibilities. Your awareness is different. So you can then choose. And so that's kind of the goal of what I talk to you about as a living organism. As DNA reprogramming, you can reprogram and deprogram programs that no longer serve you in order to change your vibrational frequency and how you're going to experience this polarity and what's next, what's beyond that potentially. That's the whole point of DNA reprogramming. So I hope that answered the question.
Let's get to another question here. This one from Nicole on Facebook, who is asking if you can get an astral attack from another person. If so, how can you protect yourself against it?
So the question was, how do you protect yourself against what specifically? Is it
an astral travel attack?
Uh-huh. So the only protection is awareness, right? It's consciousness. It's becoming aware of what's happening, and you have to become aware on multiple levels. Again, you have to train yourself to be in your body and out of your body, and be aware in either of those states. The awareness means that you are observing what's happening. You're not in a state of fear. You're aware of what's occurring, and you're observing it from a neutral perspective. And the more control that you have over your emotional state, it will also control your perception. So if you go into, you're in astral travel, and then you go into a place that becomes very fearful to you, or an experience that you don't want to experience, you can take control from that and choose not to experience that. You break your contractual agreement with that, and you come back into your body, or you move yourself somewhere else. That's what we want to train, because when we die, that's the exact kind of training that we're going to be applying. When you're going into that tunnel of white light, for example, you can choose, and I know this out of personal experience, having a near-death experience, that when you're in that tunnel, you have an option to choose what you're going to do. You can either continue going in that tunnel, or if you have unfinished business or contractual agreements that you made prior to coming into this life, you can choose to go back and complete that task. Okay. So these are all agreements that we somehow make, and agreements are basically, there are our choice as a sovereign soul to choose to experience things on a certain level.
All right. Do you think, though, that you can pick up on astral travelers or remote viewers who are viewing in on you?
Yes, I can, and I do. Personally, and it takes training and awareness. But when someone does look into my space, I immediately see who they are, and I ask them what they're doing. And if I don't want them in my space, I request them to leave. That obviously that's an infringement of my free will, and I absolutely do not allow that in my space. And so I suggest that if you're experiencing that, immediately protect yourself, protect your home, the space that you're in. There's many different techniques that you can utilize all over the internet that you can look, and you protect your space. And the thing is that when we're dealing with interdimensional contact, for example, like ET contact, this is also something that we can become aware of. And so those are also agreements that we have made to experience. And so we can also reverse and break those agreements, being in this physical body. This is why I'm so passionate about talking about your consciousness and becoming aware on every level. It's constant work, and it has to be done. Otherwise, we come into these kinds of uncomfortable and unpleasant experiences.
Mm-hmm. I know that it's an energetic feeling when there are other people or beings around on an astral or remote level. Mm-hmm. Should we be concerned? We got about 35 seconds here. Should we be concerned if we're being viewed on that level?
I think that it's if you're not aware and if you're not okay, it's an infringement of your free will. And I think that you need to become aware and learn how to protect yourself from those things. Absolutely. But you have to be very honest, because those are some contractual agreements that you may have made during an unconscious state at some point in your incarnations. So you got to dive deep. You got to go to the root of why you're experiencing that thing. We also manifest in our life certain experiences like that in order to learn lessons. We learn how to protect ourselves. We learn that we're sovereign. We learn that we are in charge of our body and our mind. So sometimes those experiences can help us learn that. Yeah.
Right. All right, Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We have Geraldine Orozco for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Then we're going to bring in Drex from Vancouver and get to the news and the thought of the day. Jam-packed hour 3. Spaced Out Radio coming up next.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate you having time to share with us. Thank you. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and on the digital side on Revolution Radio and TalkStream Live. Remember, you could check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Zeitgerber. Zeitgerber is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we introduced Geraldine Orozco. Her websites, GeraldineOrozco.com and BayAreaMeditation.com. She's out of San Francisco, California, and comes in once a month for The Spiritual You, where we get into everything Zen, Chi, improve our lifestyles, and maybe a little ET contact sprinkled in just for good measure. Thank you so much for joining us again, Geraldine.
Thank you, and a huge shout out to all our listeners tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are amazing. You guys rock.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. They are pretty awesome. Let's just be honest with that. Now, Geraldine, in regards to, what we've talked about, we've covered a plethora of topics tonight on the show. And we're going to continue with some audience questions here, if you don't mind. Kathari is asking, when do you think, or when the human soul enters the physical embryo, when do you think this actually happens?
When does the body? Okay, so this arrangement is made before even the creation of the embryo. Okay, so when two people have intercourse, it's very interesting. There is a potential imprint in the blueprint that already designed the union between those two people. Okay, so when the two are, in the process of creating life, it creates a vibrational imprint that will call upon a vibrational match at that point. And so those agreements are made through ancestral lineages and agreements that far surpass just the physical connection that they have. Okay, these are agreements that are made through families, and a lot of times people that have, are partners, they will have many lives together. They will have experienced many times, and that's because there's a soul agreement within that family lineage that it was meant to reunite for a purpose. The purpose is always the experience of polarity. So whatever they're going to be experiencing on a range, higher, good or bad experience, it's dictated by all of that history that those two ancestral lineage are bringing in together. And when the embryo is formed, then the soul will then attach to that. It will have, that vibrational frequency will basically put out like a call, and whatever needs to come into that lineage for its highest evolution, its highest potential evolution, it'll be brought in. Because again, the soul, we have free will, so we can choose, right? We can choose how we're kind of experiencing things. You can choose to evolve or transmute pain, suffering, or you can keep dwelling on it, and your life can be a result of that pain and suffering. So the child that is born into that family has that choice how they want to utilize all the information that resides within their body, within their DNA.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Part of the issue that I have a hard time believing, Geraldine, and I think it's a little woo, to be absolutely honest, okay, is the soul contracts that we allegedly make before we incarnate here on the planet. All right? I just have a hard time believing that. And I said this, you would have known our guest last night, Vivienne Chauvet. Okay,
oh, yeah.
She was on last night, and we were talking about this. And I'm sorry, but maybe it's a little too human for me, okay? But I can't imagine signing up a contract to come to this planet and sign up to be in an abusive household, or to have cancer as a child, or to, have some sort of debilitating disease, or be blind or deaf or something along those lines. This goes a lot deeper than just, trying to have a perfect life or a perfect balance, or learning a lesson. Like, I just don't get that. Like, especially when it comes to abusive type of stuff. And I just can't see where a learning experience or message on a soul level can be comprehended out of that.
Well, this is what we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the show. We're talking about, the adversity that we're all collectively experiencing right now. How do we cope with that? And, we talked about understanding that we're experiencing polarity. The problem is that we have been programmed deeply to believe in illusion. And that illusion is the idea or the concept that there is some form of perfection. And what we need to understand is that our idea of perfection, of what's good, of what's right, what's nice and beautiful, that's something that's been heavily programmed in our society through all of the different compartmentalized aspects that build our community, our society, whether it's through religion, whether it's through the entertainment industry, whether it's through, the education system. Everything is designed in a way to make you want to achieve this illusion of perfection. And it's one of the things that causes the deepest trauma, fragmentation, and disassociation within us and without us as an entire human race. And that is actually the entryway to the beginning of my awakening when I first started my search for understanding. When I was starting my business, I went through so much pain and suffering in my early years. I mean, the love of my life passed away. I mean, my business was down the dumps, family issues, so on and so forth. Everything was going wrong, and I thought I was doing everything right. Right by whom? Right by these programs that we have, right? And so a lot of us experience that, we think everything we do in life is along with what should be giving us the results, and it doesn't work. Why? It doesn't work because our programming is wrong, right? We believe that there's an achievable perfection of some sort, and that is the biggest lie. The fact of the matter is we have to start deprogramming that and programming ourselves to understand that the perfection is here and now. It's in what you're experiencing right now. Everything that you're experiencing is just a result of simple cause and effect. You are a product of everything that your parents went through, and it goes on all the way back to the very beginning of the conception of life on this planet. We are a result of those actions and those experiences. What we're here to do as humans, in collectively as organisms, is to experience polarity, not to judge what we're experiencing. The concept of judgment, of shame and guilt, was introduced by the church, actually. And with the means of trying to control, of create suppression, compartmentalization, the illusion of separation. That was the whole point of that, to drill that into our minds, that things had to be a certain way. And when you become aware of that, you begin to understand that there is no right and wrong. Okay, and it's hard for us to be able to see things that way because we look at suffering and pain as something wrong. But the fact of the matter is that suffering and pain is a result of suffering and pain, and so on and so forth. So where did the suffering and pain begin? It begins in the illusion of separation. It begins in the illusion of suffering. And what makes it is the meaning that we apply to that suffering. We think that suffering is wrong. And when we experience that wrong suffering as a result of a cause and effect, we're lost because we think we're dirty, we're shameful, we're horrible. And so we develop these actions, like, for example, a man that harms children becomes traumatized. He can't accept in himself his own suffering that's a result of abuse himself. So now he will act that abuse out repetitively, causing the same harm towards others. So we have to really take a moment and understand human psychology. We have to educate ourselves on how we end up the way we end up and why we are the way we are. Because if you don't understand that, you're not going to understand this world that we live in, okay? I don't want to refer to it as a game, but in a sense, it's like we're playing roles, right? You play the father role in your family, and that will dictate the things that are expected of you. If you don't fall in those expectations, then what are you? You're a terrible father, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So all of these things are programs. So we learn to experience all possibilities as infinite consciousness through all of these little roles that we play as humans. That's all it is. When we understand that, we begin to pull away from the illusion of getting stuck in suffering, like depression, feeling stuck and demotivated and blocked. All of those little blockages begin to gently dissolve when you understand that. So that's the purpose of this experience. And as a collective, we are learning how to experience that polarity.
I apologize because normally I really agree with you on this one. I just do not. Mm-hmm. I do not. I can't imagine signing a contract to saying I'm going to die of starvation in a famine in Ethiopia. Or I'm going to sign a contract where I'm going to be whipped as part of a slave trade or something along those lines, something disgusting like that. And it's unfortunate it is happening, and it's happening in today's world where we are unfortunately allowing this type of BS to happen on this planet. And it sucks. And knowing that, to me, I'm going to be blunt here. Okay, to me, it sounds like this whole contract thing is an incarnation, because I don't see what you learn from getting the snot beaten out of you if you're in an abusive relationship, or an alcoholic or a drug-addicted parent, or being raped as a child by some pervert or something along those lines. Like, I just don't see that, Geraldine, and I'm trying my hardest to understand that, but it's just not clicking in.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. And the thing is this, that we're experiencing all of these dirty things, these ugly, dark things that are here in the physical, right? We feel it deeper than anything because we're physical. So it's really heavy. Like, we really feel it emotionally, physically, on every level. And so that's why we came into this dimension, to experience those things. But at the same time, the other side of this is that there are many layers to this, okay? One of the layers of that, and that I talk about, is the fact that we are living in a matrix, which is a manifestation. So what that means is a simulated reality, or a controlled reality, basically, that is a manifestation of this third physical dimension. In the physical dimension, in a dimension that follows the law of polarity, you're always going to be bouncing off feeling or experiencing good and bad, right and wrong. Okay, there's always going to be those two sides, but you gotta understand that it's just one level, let's say, of infinite possibilities of experiencing. So in the human body right now, you have a temporary experience to experience this physical plane. This is why becoming aware, in my mind, is really important. You can choose to be a sovereign soul that is no longer influenced by the illusion of separation and the illusion that we are somehow caught or stuck or victimized by the things that are happening in our life. We are not the body. This is just temporary. So that's kind of where we got to take things. Because these things become wrong because we've been told that they're wrong, right? If you really look at those belief systems, they become wrong because they're still ultimately the body of the little girl. Let's say a little girl that's being abused, yelled at by her father, whatever it is. She's in that little body for a moment, then she's going to grow up and be an adult. That father is acting out his childhood trauma on that child. And so it's a cyclical pattern of abuse until someone chooses to change it in that lineage. So that allows me to understand that each human that incarnates in the body is really important to this collective. They have a choice of changing the trauma and suffering in this world. And you said a really important thing. We choose to allow what's happening around us. And you're absolutely right. Just the way that we're choosing to allow what's happening in the world around us today, maybe this is an opportunity for us to choose different. And that's kind of where we started this conversation tonight, is can we choose different? And the answer is yes. And maybe that's all our responsibilities. If we stop sleeping and being distracted by the entertainment and social media and all the distractions that are pulling us away from the priority, which is to change how we experience this moment here collectively, not just think selfishly, but of the collective. That is, that would be much better for everyone.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got her for another 5.5 minutes here on the big show, and we appreciate her taking the time. Geraldine, with everything that people who've never had contact, let's spruce it up a little bit. People who've never had ET contact, yet they want to have that experience. They want that proof for themselves. Is there a way spiritually that we can do this?
To have contact, yes. The fact of the matter is that we manifest what we want into our lives. So if we want something strong enough, or we have that very strong conviction to experience it, you will experience it. And that's how these CE5s and all of these kinds of calling of crafts, and so that's how they happen. our mind is ridiculously powerful, and we are mostly non-physical. Your body is a gigantic non-physical organism, and you're interconnected to multiple aspects of yourself that are not just solely connected to the physical plane in this planet. You have fragments of yourself that are extraterrestrial, that are in the future, that are in the past. So when you choose that you want to experience that, you can bring those experiences into your moment if that's your intention. The subconscious mind will run that experience. So make sure that when you're putting that intention out there, you're not doing it because, let's say, you want to be an experiencer and you're like, oh, I'm going to make money off my story, or you're making it out of fear because you're afraid of what you're going to experience, and yet you're curious. So make sure that you know what your subconscious mind is doing when you're calling anything into your space, interdimensional, okay, or any experience across the board, because that will define what you're going to get out of it, okay? And so you can call upon that. You can ask for your connections. Our DNA in it is encoded a cocktail of DNA. So that means that we have genetic material from many different species, not just human, okay? And I know that this might sound new, but what we're understanding is that our DNA is holographic. We are holographic in a sense. So there is so much to us as humans that we have yet to uncover. And as we look at the hybridization program and the new hybrids that are being born into our human timeline, we begin to recognize this incredible advanced technology of the mind, of the human body that we're just becoming familiar with. So the invitation is to kind of dig deeper into that. And as you connect, look at the parts of you. A lot of us, we are made of stardust, literally, in our physical body. So we have that within us. It's a part of you.
How do you make sure, with 2.5 minutes to go, that you're actually calling in the positive beings and not something overly negative?
Right. Well, again, and this is where I have my very specific opinion about it, my love, is that any of these interdimensional beings, even extraterrestrials, they are a manifestation of what is within this physical plane. Okay, we are in 3D world here, and it is this holographic construct that we're living in of reality. And in that construct, things are moving in a certain way. With that design in mind, all of the living beings that are a part of this construct are also playing out that same role of polarity. So keep that in mind. So you're going to find high vibration and also low vibration. However, it's my belief that beings that are truly high frequency beings, they understand the law of free will. And the law of free will states that you cannot interfere into another organism's, journey. Okay, you can't interfere, and you can't impose upon them without their acknowledgement or acceptance. So if that's the case, any of these extraterrestrials that are trying to hijack entities, attachments that are trying to play on your unawareness, I believe is an infringement of your free will. What dictates that is your unconsciousness. If you are not conscious of yourself, you are a vessel to be a host of any of these entities or connections that are lower frequency. So you have to work diligently on becoming aware of practicing your intuition, your discernment, so that when you come in contact with these non-physical aspects of our reality, you can also learn how to discern within the veils of polarity what is in alignment with you in your best interest. If you're coming from a place of fear, you're going to be attracting things that are a manifestation of that. If you're coming from a place of empowerment and awareness and honestly, basically, why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to come into alignment with that as well. So that's super, super important. And thanks for asking that, Dave.
Geraldine, it's that time of the night where we have to say goodnight to you. I appreciate you taking it. We only got about 5 seconds left. You were wonderful as ever, and we will talk to you again in August.
Such a pleasure to be here. Love you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing month, and I will see you soon, Dave.
Geraldine Orozco, The Spiritual You, GeraldineOrozco.com, and BayAreaMeditation.com. Check her on out. Coming up next, we're going to hook up with Drex in Vancouver. Then we're going to get to the Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio coming up.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and much more. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. In just a couple of seconds, we are going to be joining Drex in Vancouver here, go across Canada right now. And where are we going to go?
The host with the most, Dave Scott, welcome back to the shift. How are you, sir?
I am wearing a fantastic Marvin the Martian cap right now, man. That's how woo I am tonight. I am ready for this.
You contacted me about an hour before our show started and said, hey, listen, there's something else you need to add to the list of things we talk about tonight.
Yes.
So you got a call from Jeff in Edmonton last night. He's a tow truck operator. He was on the Yellowhead Highway, and he saw something strange. Now, I was saying to my listeners before the break here, before we joined up, that in my experience of hearing about people having strange experiences on highways late at night, generally has something to do with lights or orbs or something circling the car or freaking people out thinking it's a car, but it's not a car, and then it zooms straight past them. What did Jeff see?
Well, Jeff is a tow truck driver in Edmonton, and he was traveling the Yellowhead Highway coming back from, I believe, Spruce Grove. And he kind of pulled off because, I don't know, maybe he had to take a phone call or something. He's a good dude. I actually know this gentleman. And Jeff called me up in a little bit of a panic, and he's like, I don't know what it is that I experienced last night. So here it goes. He pulls off on this overpass, to kind of go to the side of the highway, and he's, he stops his truck. And all of a sudden, there is this deep bass sound just going boom, and his entire truck starts shaking. And he's looking to see if his phone is going off or if anything is happening that's weird. And he's like, Dave, it seemed like I got hit by one of those energy weapons because everything started moving. Things started dropping in the truck from up above, and he got scared. Jeff is a big dude. He's not a guy who gets scared very easy. In fact, he's part of the ghost crew called Haunted Crew of Canada here in BC. And he was investigating, the museum where I'm at. I always talk about that museum that's haunted. Anyways, he actually caught the picture of an alien in one of our buildings. Picture of an alien staring at him. All right, so he believes in a little bit, but aliens kind of scare him. Ghosts are one thing. Aliens, I had to say to him, I said, Jeff, I think you got some aliens. So I asked him, did you lose any time? And he says, no. I said, did anything black out on the truck? Like, did your cell phones go dead? Did the truck go dead? Did the radio turn off? And was there any light flashing? No to everything. Just this real deep bass sound that absolutely shook his truck. And, the one thing about it that we always have to remember, Drex, is truck drivers, whether they're tow truck drivers or 5-ton truck drivers running around the city or semi-truck drivers, they know their vehicles like the back of their hand. They know when their vehicle, they're in there enough, that's their livelihood. They know when their truck is acting up. They know when something strange is happening in their vehicle, if their vehicle is going to break down or it's not running properly. And I asked Jeff about that. And Jeff was like, Dave, he goes, my truck is running fine. He said when this happened and his truck started going off and shaking and having all this pulsation happen, he put the truck in gear, stomps his foot on the gas pedal, and literally gets back on the highway and cuts somebody off. He was so scared he almost caused an accident on the Yellowhead.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, you got to go back. And he's like, why? I said, if you get a call back there, you got to go back, see if it happens again. I said, maybe you got some aliens. He said the one strange thing that did happen, though, right afterwards, there were 2 very low-flying Canadian Armed Forces helicopters from CFB Edmonton flying over top soon after. Now, we've heard that before. When there is UFOs in the area, strange things happening, all of a sudden there's military aircraft around. Did he have a UFO experience? I don't know.
Yeah, so he didn't see anything out the window of the car or anything. It just felt like a weird sort of energy jolt hit him, but he didn't see anything.
Exactly, but we hear that with a lot of people who have these weird, strange occurrences, whether it's extraterrestrial or whether it's something freakily paranormal. We hear about these types of things. Like, this isn't out of the ordinary. But when it finally happens to you, it scares you. Like, every 3 hairs on his head actually stood up.
So what's the plan going forward? Is he going to go back there? Because you said he's an investigator, so it must be in him to want to know more.
I think so, but he likes the ghost stuff. The aliens, when you delve into the whole alien aspect or UFO aspect, it gets a little weird. And you really have to push your mind to different levels than just playing with dead people. And I've told him to go back. I think he's going to try and go back. I think he had a close encounter, personally. Now, I know there's probably a lot of people out there listening, rolling their eyes, saying, hey, Dave, you can't say that. But knowing Jeff and knowing how straight-laced he is and how serious he takes his job, I think he had an encounter last night that was just phenomenal, that he can't explain.
So let me ask you, the Yellowhead Highway, what?
Yes.
You're in the business of knowing what people see and hear and what they experience, and you're in the business of sharing that to folks like me and all of your listeners across the planet online. What other stories have you heard from this particular highway in Edmonton?
Well, Edmonton is known for having its military base there, with the big army base with the Canadian Armed Forces. Okay, they do have helicopter pads there, and so seeing aircraft fly out of the norm that it isn't or that are military isn't out of the ordinary. We do have to suggest that, But that being said, the more north you go in Alberta, the stranger the occurrences get. I know around the Fort McMurray area, the Manning, Alberta area, and places like that, a lot of the First Nations reserves absolutely at night have been terrorized by UFOs and extraterrestrial activity, along with Sasquatch activity. It is something that is very open and open-minded, because you have, especially as we head now we're on the second half of the solstice here, we're heading more into darker nights, and that's where things get a little bit interesting, because when you're high up on the continent, the way Edmonton is, you have to be able to see a little bit more at night. And it is a little bit longer darkness there. So, yes, there are a number of extraterrestrial sightings and UFO sightings in that area.
How often do we get the numbers of UFO sightings in Canada? Because you and I have talked about in the past that I think it was 2017 to 2018, there was anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 UFO sightings across the country.
Yes.
And these are openly reported numbers, and it's the guy in Winnipeg that sort of puts out this report every single year, and we try and get him on the show occasionally. Do they
Yes.
put out the numbers every single year?
Actually, last week after we were on, Chris Rutkowski actually contacted me, and he's like, Dave, I'm going to have those numbers very, very soon that are going to break down the sightings in Canada, and he's like, you and Drex can have them and broadcast them.
Oh,
so we're going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we got to get Chris on that night.
Yeah, we'll get him on. We'll do a three-way conversation. So you think your buddy Jeff on the Yellowhead last night...
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Had an encounter.
You have no idea how much that freaks me out. You have no idea how much that freaks me out. I know. It scares the daylights out of me.
Don't start modeling your mashed potatoes, okay? Don't start
doing that. Hey, I am Team Stump, not Team Rock, my friend. Total Team Stump.
It's such a strange story. Thanks so much for bringing that to our show tonight. Hey, listen,
No problem.
The other thing that you and I were going to talk about tonight as well is last week you and I had a discussion about the Canadian government, what they know, and how much they're willing to share about what they know. And also, why aren't politicians asking more questions of their own government? So you actually went on a bit of a tear last week and started emailing MPs in this country of all different political persuasions. Did you get any response from any of them?
I had a total of 4 responses of generic, we're sorry, we're not in the office emails. So for people to know, last week when we were discussing this, you actually challenged me to write a letter to members of the Canadian Parliament, and I chose 9 of them, 3 from each of the major parties, 3 from the NDP, 3 from the Liberals, and 3 from the Conservatives. So from the Conservatives, I chose Cathy McLeod, who is my own MP up here in the Caribou. Michelle Rempel, I chose her because she is very popular on social media. And I chose Mark Strahl, who is the party whip. And for the Liberals, I chose Mark Garneau, who's a former astronaut. I chose Bill Morneau because he's always in the media somewhere. And I chose Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan. And for the NDP, I chose Jack Harris, Matthew Green, and Randall Garrison because one of them is a critic for infrastructure, one is for heritage, and one is for defense. So I figured that was a good start, just to see. And I wrote this letter, and you actually got the email too, and it's pretty long. We unfortunately don't have time to read it, but I asked these members of Parliament, when are they going to basically stand up and bring this subject to light of what Canada's role in here. I provided examples with quotes that I had received personally from former Defense Minister Paul Hellyer, who is still on Canada's Privy Council at the age of 96. I brought up the fact that a Conservative MP asked UFO researcher MJ Banias about UFOs leading into the previous federal election in Canada. I brought up that instance and quotes from that as well that MJ had given me. I gave quotes about the RCMP in regards to their doctorate regarding UFOs that people phone in, whether they're in the air or on the ground. And so I asked a few questions, and I'll give a couple of these questions here. I'm not going to read all 10 of them, but I'll give a couple of them. For instance, what is Canada's role in investigating unidentified aerial phenomena? That's an easy question. What is the Canadian Armed Forces' role in UFO research, studies, or interception, since we know they've done this in the past? If the United States is looking into this threat phenomena seriously, shouldn't Canada as well? Now, the unfortunate part about
basic questions that you're asking of politicians, and the fact that you aren't able to get solid answers. So what's the next step here? Do you find another 9 that you send it to? Do you maybe contact Paul Hellyer and maybe ask him some questions as well? Because like you said last week, it would be fascinating to see an everyday journalist ask a politician some of these questions. Obviously, because of COVID-19, it's not going to be top of mind to be asking this sort of stuff. But there needs to be a time where we should be able to ask this stuff, because the other thing that you'll tell us about this week is the fact that you have information that the New York Times could be getting ready to publish a story that says the U.S. actually are in possession of an alien spacecraft.
That is what is believed to be coming out. We know that a gentleman who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist named Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kean, both of them, along with a lady named Helene Cooper, wrote the famous December 16th, 2017 UFO article in the New York Times that went absolutely viral. Now, we hear Kean and Blumenthal have been working on an article because last week, as we talked about, Marco Rubio, the Florida senator and head of the Intelligence Committee, wants to bring unidentified aerial phenomena into the intelligence budget publicly. And he and other politicians have been very hot to trot about this. Well, the New York Times is apparently about to write an article. I've talked to a number of people who believe that that they've either been interviewed for this article or have been resources for this article, talking to either Kean or Blumenthal. And one of the tips that has come out is the possibility that if the New York Times decides to run this article, which people are expecting within the next few weeks here, that they may actually be able to say that the United States military actually has a craft from a crashed UFO. Now, if that happens...
Wow, that's astounding. Yeah.
That is amazing news. Amazing news. And I would love to be in the Pentagon when that story breaks, because it is going to cause a hailstorm of people trying to get that cover-up ready, and who's the leak, and who's everything. I mean, it's just amazing how that's going to happen.
If anything, to be honest with you, it's a great distraction for Trump, because they're leading into an election in just under 4 months. So to have that as a news piece is a great distraction point for the president as well.
Well, but this also ties into Canada as well, because if this story breaks, it's going to be a huge story for our own journalists to see how they cover this. Because so far, as we discussed last week, when it comes to covering the United States UFO phenomena, our television stations, our radio stations have covered it. But they've never asked about Canada. And it's time we start putting a little bit of pressure on our politicians. So I think what step I take next in this is I have the 9 that I'm focused on. I think next week, before we talk, I'm going to start making some phone calls. Their phone lines are public. Let's go for it.
Yeah,
let's see what happens. What's the worst they're going to do? What's the worst they're going to do? But either way,
that's the worst they could do. Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the problem with ignoring. People listening to your show, people listening to my show, okay, they're voters. And if they're in one of these constituencies...
We have a thirst for information. We've got to get it. Dave, I've got to leave it there, man. Thanks
Me
so
too,
much.
my friend.
We'll chat again next week, and hopefully we'll get an update and see who you've actually been able to manage to speak on the phone to sometime this week.
All right, let's see that.
Week,
talk to you next week, Drex. All right, let's get right to the thought of the day, shall we? Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Should I cut my hair? Now, for a lot of you who haven't seen my hair, it's literally halfway down my back. I started growing it in September of 2017 because my mother is a 2-time cancer survivor, and I've always wanted to donate hair, so I figured I would scratch that one off the bucket list. But I'm getting to the point now. I'm almost there. I'm not saying I'm going to cut it. Okay, I'm not saying I'm going to cut my hair, because I've gone this far, and maybe there's a couple inches more that I think I got to go. But I thought I would poll the audience. Let's start with Shanna. I would say no, because I love long hair. All right. Rhonda says no. Canadian Joe in Toronto says, oh, hell yeah. Tom Whitmore, former guest, says no. Marty, one of our favorite veterans listening to this show. Your hair, your choice, but since you are considering cutting it so you could donate it to a listener battling cancer, I say go for it. John, what the hell are you thinking? Eric with a K, we are his fourth favorite show. We're number 4 there, guys. Okay, he says 100% yes, cut it. Peter, I'm almost 50. I used to be a long hair guy years ago. Shaved it to the bone one day. Shocked everyone. It grew back. You can do it. Andrea, I would be a little heartbroken. But if you donate it and those luscious locks go to a charity, I'm all for it. Juan, if you're donating it, ask them what is the ideal length and grow it to that length. Otherwise, comb it forward and have it braided into a dreadlock mask. Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Chris, have you not heard the tales of Samson and Delilah? Spoiler alert, it ends badly for Samson. Audra, all I can say is, I wish I could do the honors in cutting it. Matt, I've been growing out my hair to donate, and it's very long now. If you know someone that wants a nerdy professor scientist hair, DM me. All right. Holly, how do you like your hair now? If it feels good, it's up to you. Johnny says no. Kat agrees with him. All right. Vivian, you look so much more handsome with short hair. Ultimately, it's the choice you're going to have to make. Cable guy Matt says it always grows back. Nate, Dave, I don't want to be the guy to tip the scale. Mike, the pen man, Dave, no, do not cut it. If you do, you will lose some of your psychic and intuitive abilities. I know from personal experience. Coral, don't cut it, but if you decide to cut it, how about a mohawk? No, I'm not going mohawk. Definitely not. There's like 105 people who responded to this. Bill Cardwell, number 1 in my books, compromise, cut the left side and see how you feel about it. You can always grow it back. Nick, 1 hair or all of them? I say keep it and more beard, please. But if you want to cut it, just do a wee trim. And if you cut your hair, you will lose your powers. James, if you decide to cut it, it may be not much because if you run into Bigfoot out in the Canadian wilderness, you will be considered less of a threat while looking more like one. Oh, that makes sense. That's a good argument right there. Tony, my former neighbor, you cannot ever have flowing locks like me. My hair's longer than yours, Tony. My hair's longer. Jim Goodall, former guest, final word. The photo you posted in the last day with short hair, you looked great. Oh, the debate continues. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow on Facebook and Twitter. We get to Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire tomorrow as well. And thank you to Geraldine Orozco and Drex for coming in on tonight's show. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god of self. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. To everybody participating in our chat rooms on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Rev Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and the Snarkers and Snarkettes on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You were awesome tonight. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Remember, everybody, the Woo train may have docked for the night, but we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, there's room for them too. Good night.